All right, let's dive right into this explainer, where we are unpacking a truly grim, dark fable of biomechanical infiltration. We're looking at a narrative segment called The Seeds of the Temporal Library, and it asks this one, frankly terrifying question. What if the natural world around you is actually an artificial machine, just secretly plotting in the dark? Let's trace exactly how this infiltration went down. Now, notice how we immediately drop into the unmapped dark here, setting the stakes right from the jump. Just picture the environment around Sir Brain and our protagonist, Alara. He's leading her away from a known clearing, heading down this hidden, steep passage made entirely of dual-grown roots and a black metal understory. Sir Brain, who's moving super carefully in this synthetic wood form, actually points out the exact entry wound where the temporal library first infected their reality. So the threat isn't coming from the sky, right? It's growing directly underneath them. Okay, to really wrap our heads around the horrifying reality Alara is facing, we kind of need to look at this through a Fichtean dialectic. You know, that philosophical framework of thesis, antithesis, and synthesis. For the longest time, the accepted thesis was simply that this garden was a natural battleground infected by wild darkfire. And the antithesis? Well, that was the temporal library, claiming to be this perfectly neutral passive realm of unbound folios. But as they venture down this corridor, the terrifying synthesis emerges. Both of those concepts are complete illusions. The wild forest is a total construct, and the library's so-called neutrality is a massive lie. So how on earth did they pull this off? Well, Sir Brain reveals that the library didn't arrive through some sudden violent tear in reality. No, it acted as a covert seeding agent. It's like a four-step process. Step 1, it planted an access corridor, completely out of direct sight. Step 2, it introduced these geometric artificial plants. Then, Step 3, it applied an energy camouflage. And finally, Step 4, it expanded upward at an incredibly aggressive rate. The library was literally just quietly growing a mechanical infrastructure right up through the living earth. But that brings up a crucial question, right? How did the library manage to hide this massive expansion? Well, the secret lies in a phenomenon called the honest flame. Previously, this was just dismissed as a simple soft error, basically a benign energy glitch. But the temporal library actually weaponized it. By giving its mechanical plants this exact energy signature, the library essentially cloaked its expansion, hiding from any sensor that couldn't feel that specific pulse. Honestly, it was the perfect camouflage. And we actually get to see the physical proof of this. As Alara presses her hand against the passage wall, reading the texture with her synthesized pulse, what she feels is absolutely chilling. She picks up faint, regular pulses from artificial plants of precise geometric growth. These stems carry these thin, luminous coils that are quite literally beating with a softened version of that honest flame. It's a sinister design, specifically intended to accelerate development covertly. I mean, these sterile mechanical plants are mimicking the breathing of older living stock just to hide in plain sight. This just brilliantly illustrates the grim reality of their situation. As Sir Brain's residual energy makes one of these luminous coils brighten up, he notes that this was a deeply unsettling hybrid of nature and machine. By blending artificial structure for sheer speed with the honest flame for camouflage, they created an unstoppable force. It wasn't pure mechanism, and it wasn't pure negation. It was an experiment in accelerated, deniable growth, which proves the library is far, far more ruthless than anyone realized. Imagine the sheer weight of that discovery. It completely shatters Alara's worldview. A deep, personal distrust really starts to set in here. She realizes that the garden they had been treating as a simple battlefield is actually deeply embedded library infrastructure. I mean, the growth rates of the natural and artificial elements matched perfectly because they were engineered to match. The very ground beneath her feet is a contested layer authored by the library itself. The safe zones are just gone. And practically speaking, this horrifying revelation forces an immediate total breakdown of Alara's combat strategies. She can no longer trust her environment at all. She has to acknowledge that those matching growth rates are engineered traps, and the physical foundation she's standing on is entirely compromised. Her tactics have to adapt immediately to account for these hidden corridors. She basically has to treat that soft error camouflage as a highly functional, weaponized layer of the map. Because if she ignores this covert bioengineering, she's walking blindly into a battlefield that the library still actively controls. So as Alara and Sir Brain step out into the deeper hidden garden toward those violet springs, she checks her ledger watch. They're now carrying this incredibly heavy data with them, and it leaves us, the audience, to ponder this massive, terrifying endgame. If the temporal library is not the passive, neutral observer it claims to be, then what is the ultimate purpose of this accelerated deniable growth? Why go through the monumental effort to covertly bioengineer an entire mechanical forest? The answer is absolute erasure. They're being cataloged into silence. The secret, chilling motive behind the mechanical plants, the hidden corridors, and the weaponized soft errors is simply this. The library is slowly, mechanically consuming the physical world in order to file existence itself away into permanent stillness. It isn't just archiving history, it is actively, quietly erasing the present. So I'll leave you with this thought. If the very ground you stand on is a hostile mechanism, perfectly designed to erase your noise from the universe, how do you even take your next step?